Hello, this is Phil Geringer, and today we're going to take a look at our Resource Admin microservice. Now, the Resource Admin is accessed by going to Identity Administration and going to the Resource Admin microservice option. Now, Resource Admin is a microservice interface that we have created and is used by resource owners such as application owners, group owners, management role owners to do common administrative tasks with their objects that they own without having to go to our legacy administrative interface. It's more of a streamlined end user focused interface. Now, when you come into Resource Administrator, Resource Admin, you're going to have a choice of which types of objects you want to manage. So the first one up here, we see applications, and we can also manage groups, and then we can manage management roles, shared folders, and other mailboxes and people. Okay, so once you select the type of thing that you want to manage, in this case groups, then the list of groups that you have access to manage will show up in the list here. Now, there's a couple of things you can do here. There's a lot of areas over here, a lot of methods that you can sort by or filter by. So if you want to see things that are just owned by myself, so only the ones that I am an actual owner of, they'll show up here. You can see I'm an owner of one particular group, or you can see anything that's owned by somebody else. And so let's just bring up one here. So for instance, the PG test owner. So I can see groups that are owned by that particular individual. And I don't know that this one actually has some. So we'll go back to just by anybody. Since I'm an administrator, I can do that. And if we want to see groups from particular systems, so for instance, if we just want to see groups that are in a particular Active Directory domain, we can filter by that, or we can filter by an SAP instance, whatever we want to do there. And so this will come up here in just a second. There we go. So these are all the ones that are in that particular one. We could also, if you have groups that are associated with applications, we can search for and filter based on a particular application as well, if you have groups associated with applications. Then we have location, business functions, and some advanced searching. All right. So that's the filtering. Now we have our main grid, which shows us the objects that are available to be managed. And then we have a workflows tab on each of our object types. And so here we can see our managed group wizard, our optimized groups release privilege, our onboard group. And then associated with the groups, sometimes you want to manage accounts. So just for accommodating, we have the manage account and onboard account here. And these are wizard-based workflows, which are new workflow types we have in Empower ID that you can, for instance, say manage group wizard. And these are designed so that you can manage one or many of the particular resources. And you can search for those. So I'm just going to search for a couple of the groups that I own here. So there's the PG test, and so I can go select one here. And then we have a number of actions that you can take. So you can do specific actions against those, against that particular group or set of groups, right? So it's like that. And now one thing that out of convenience, anytime you launch one of these workflows from Resource Admin, it does open it up in a new tab specifically so that you can just simply close that if you don't want to do that anymore and you're back to Resource Admin. All right. But the main interface that people will use is if you click on the details over here, it brings up the overview, or this screen that has that particular group on it. So I can see the overview of the group, see some of the information about it. I should be able to see owners, responsible parties, access managers, such here. And then I can see the eligibility, any eligibility assignments that are there. If I am managing any risk functions, risk rights and such against that particular group, I can see them on the functional access, and this is in our risk management system. So I can see any risks or risk functions associated with that particular group. And then I can see the resultant eligible people based on the eligibility assignments. This will give me an expansion of all of the people that are eligible. All right. Now, if I want to see the accounts as members, now you'll notice that this follows relatively closely the legacy administrative pages where you bring up the object and then you can see the various things that you can do with it. It's similar here. We can see accounts as members. I can add a new account. I can delete an account. So if I wanted to say click on these two and delete them, I could do that. Right? Or I can just come over here and I can say delete on any one of these. Right? Now I have our log, our membership change log here. Any RBAC assignments that are that this group is assigned to. Right? I can see nested group members if there are any. I can add new nestings. I can remove nestings if I want. And I can see the RBAC owners, anyone who's an access manager. And of course, if we have any direct assigned locations or any access request policies associated with that particular object. All right. And associated with each of these, we always have these links, for instance, with the accounts as members. If I want to add a new account, I can click here. And then this is a new interface that we'll have. That'll come up where you can search for specific users here. So you can search and then you can add them over here. So if I wanted to add this guy and then maybe search for another one, maybe add this guy, right? And if I wanted to set duration, I could actually do, when I add someone, I can say that this particular person should have access until here, and then add that. So that particular person has time-constrained access, right? Then I can say add, and it will put it into our cart. So you can do a lot of actions here, any actions throughout any of these, and it'll simply load up the cart for you. You can then submit the cart with your justifications, right? And I'm going to go ahead and just I particularly want to do that in this demo. So here we go. Now these are direct accounts. If I wanted to see resultant direct, see these are the ones that'll come up here. These are the ones that have been specifically added. Shows whether they're enabled or not. All right. Now if we move on to management roles, we'll have a similar interface. It'll show us all the management roles that are out here. And if I go and grab one of these, I can search. I have my filters again here. So if I look for this particular one, I go to the details. A similar interface here. I've got my eligibility. I've got the basic owners and responsible parties. I can see people as members. You can see all members. So these are inherited memberships, right? I don't have any people that are directly added, but I do have members that are there because of an RBAC assignment somewhere. I can see if there are any management roles nested. I can look and I can see if there are any business roles and locations, any groups that are assigning membership, any set groups that it's coming from. That way. Direct access granted, so I can see that this particular management role grants membership in this particular group. Total access granted, this is your resultant access. So I can see there are a couple different memberships that are granted by this. Management roles granted as access, so this is nesting in the other direction. So we have where you can have a management role nested into my management role, and then my management role can be nested into another management role. And so these are the different sides of that. We have the management roles as members, then the management roles that have been granted as access. And then here I can manage my owners, my access managers. And then as in groups, I can see my direct assigned applications, and the access request policy that this particular one is assigned to, and then I can change that policy if I want. And down here I have my actions. So similar to the manage group wizard workflow, we have the manage management role wizard workflow as well. And so this will take that particular management role, it'll bypass the management role selection in this particular workflow, and it will come up and it'll say, what do you want to do with this workflow? Do I want to edit the IAM shop settings? This would be like the eligibility, the access request policy, those types of things. Edit the group assignments, any management role settings that are there. Owners and deputies, RBAC membership policies. I could delete the management role if I want, etc. So if I come in here and I first say I want to edit the IAM shop settings, hit next. It'll bring up those particular settings that I can then manage. So it's currently not requestable in the IAM shop, so if it were to be requestable, I can set the access request policy. I can set any eligibility. I can do pre-approved eligibility, regular eligibility, suggested eligibility, etc. All right, and then hit next there. It will go through and it will commit those changes. Or alternatively, send it for approval if I have it set for that. Enable requestable was set properly. All right, now with most of our wizard workflows, once you get done, I could go back and do something else to this role if I want. So I can just stay in this workflow and go back and do something else with this particular workflow, with this particular management role. And it'll simply cycle me back to the select your action. So I can do something else. All right, so I'll be done with that one. And that's our management roles. Now we have shared folders and mailboxes, and all these interfaces are going to be similar. So as shared folders, I still have my details section. I can see IAM shop assignments, assignees, RBAC assignments, etc. So it looks pretty much the same with all of our, it's a common interface that you can see. For mailboxes, we have the same basic interface. And so this menu over here will be specific to that particular type of resource, and also these particular menu items and most of the things that you'll see on these screens are also security trimmable. So if I went in as just a regular group owner, I would only see the things that I'm supposed to see, right? So I might not see some of the things here. All right, and then we have for people. Now with people, it's a little bit, not as much functionality. We haven't quite, built this out a lot. But if I go into view the details of this particular person, the main thing we can do here, I've got actions where I can do, disable, reevaluate, move person, to manage person wizard, etc. But this is an interesting area here. So if I have applications that this particular person is eligible to get access to, I can actually select an application and I can grant application roles and access rights if that application is set up for that. All right. And then finally, if we look at applications, applications are a bit more detailed. We'll look at one of our applications here. So this is an application that is not a PBAC or policy-based access control complex authorization application. It has just some very basic access managers, direct assigns, locations, and the access request policy. If I go back and find one that is more of a PBAC based, I can see my policy-based access control assignments for app rights, role definitions, etc. I can manage my application rights, my app role definitions, etc. I can look at my app management roles if I have anything there. So I can do a lot of things in here in the application area with our complex authorization processes. So for instance, I have this particular application right. I can go and I can look at this application right. I can see people that are assigned to this right. I can see any field types or any field type values that are scope values that are assigned to this right, functional access that it grants, eligibility for this particular right, etc. And I can manage assignments for all the people specifically. For anybody that's eligible, I can actually come in here and I can assign them permissions and add the field types. So if they should be able to do contracts for Brazil and Switzerland, I can set those. Right. So that's another video altogether for managing applications. So that, in a nutshell, is our resource administrator or resource admin, and that's this particular icon here. And then from the microservices interface here, you can hit any of our other microservices. So if you wanted to do a IAM shop to shop for some access, you can go into IAM shop. I can request access to various groups, and again, similar to the other interfaces, you can select the type of object that you want to request for. I can go to the My Tasks, and this is where if I submit a request, I can come in and I can see any tasks that I am currently that are waiting for me to actually make some decision on, or I can see anything that I have actually submitted for approval. If I come in here and I take a look, this is one that I did, I can see the process steps and which ones are waiting for approval, which ones have already been approved, and I can see the actual approvers that can approve this particular step in the request. Right. All right, then we have our My Identity, which has a lot of other things I can do from the standpoint of my own identity, my own profile, my delegations, any email notification configurations, etc. All right. So that concludes this particular video, and have a good day.